In yesterday's episode of the Hit It Here podcast, Colton claimed that the 3-0 series sweep over the San Diego Padres was the best series the Mariners have played all year in 2025. I walked into work Monday. A friend of mine, Davis, looks at me and says, Joe, can you think of another time in recent Mariners history where they looked like that complete of a team in a series? And I was like, maybe against the Rangers earlier in the year when they also swept them. But then Davis responded saying, well, the Padres are a better team. So that got me thinking, how would I rank all the series that the Mariners have played so far in 2025? So we're doing a tier list. We've got five different tiers here. It starts at the bottom with leads into it's Depover. The next one up, expected TBH. A good series, and normally S tier. We're so back. So there's moments where it's been Depover, but we're so back. But we have to start in the beginning with the opening weekend that the Mariners played a 4-game series against the Athletics. Now, this series, I don't think we were like levels of Depover at this point. I think an expected result starting off the year, you're not going to be firing on all cylinders all the time. Maybe you should have won that series, but I didn't put in a tier that maybe this one fits in entirely to. So we're going to go with expected TBH. And then the Detroit Tigers came to town. A 3-game set in which the Mariners only won 1 game, that final game, where they faced Tarek Skubal. It was getting to levels of Depover, I'm not going to lie. There was definitely some question marks with how the team was looking at that point, and losing the second series of the year, you're under 500. It's not necessarily a good look, right? I think it could go into expected TBH given how the Tigers look now. At that time, though, they had just gotten swept by the Los Angeles Dodgers to kick off the 2025 season. So I'm going to put it in it's Depover. We did give the Tigers their first wins of the season, so it was Depover for the Mariners fandom at that point. Let's be honest. We know damn well where this series sweep by the hands of the San Francisco Giants is going to go. We're further in hell than Depover, okay? It's way deeper than that. That is an moment with losing Victor Robles, maybe for the year at that point. Hopefully not, as you know, we've found out more obviously about his injury, but still, there's not a guarantee. And getting swept and then you got walked off twice in that series. Yes, the Giants have been playing really good ball and they were playing even better ball back then, but that series is definitely worthy. Let's be very honest. But when things do get to Depover, no, there's always a chance to be we're so back. But the 2-1 series victory over the Astros, kicking off a homestand in which you then would sweep the Rangers in the next one. That was a good series. It was a good series win overall. You didn't sweep them, but that was a great series. It could have been a we're so back moment. I honestly, you know what? Since it's the Astros, since it's a division rival, I'm going to put it in we're so back. Because the 3-7 Mariners at that time, it just wasn't pretty. And then you win the series against the Astros, really kind of changed the thoughts and the vibes around the team in general, which then leads you to have momentum against the Rangers to sweep them at home as well. I will, however, put the Rangers at the top of that list so far. So if things are closer to the actual tier, that means that they're at the top of that list. The Rangers, a 3-0 series sweep. I mean, chef's kiss. You needed that. A 5-1 homestand is incredible, especially given how the Mariners looked starting this year. I mean, the offense definitely got rolling a little bit, maybe not, I don't want to say later than we would have wanted them to start the year, but it's definitely something that people would say. Every single game against the Astros was decided between 1 run, and then the Rangers, there was 2 close games that were decided by 2 runs, but the middle game, the Mariners did win 9-2, so that was like a true spanking of the Rangers, if you will. It's a better series win than the Astros, just on the principle that you won all 3 games as well. But this would continue the stretch of wins that the Mariners would put together. I mean, 9 consecutive series wins that we all know very, very well. And we go to Cincinnati, where I think that was a good series win. I think it was a good series win. I don't think it was expected TBH. It's more like a middle of the road, like you could have done better in that situation. Expected, right? it was a good series win in Cincinnati. You had that final game where Cal and Randy hit solo shots to tie it up in the ninth. Like, that's a good series win. If it had been a not a super close game in that final one, maybe I could have put it in expected TBH. But since there was some bounce back there, I'll play to the hype a little bit more. Up next, we have the Toronto series in Toronto. You win 2-1. Rowdy hits a grand slam. I mean, he goes nuclear in that series. He had a grand slam in extra innings. That's going ahead of the Reds series for sure, I'd say, as far as like a good series win. Like, you definitely could have lost that series. Ben Williamson hit his first career home run in that series as well, so good vibes. We also spent one of those games at the Queen Anne Beer Hall with the Marine Layer guys. Shout out Marine Layer. So there's maybe a bit more fond memories than the Cincinnati series, but regardless, they're good series wins in general, which leads us to the Red Sox, and I'm going to put that at the top of this one right now because how well they did against Garrett Crochet, where you felt that was a game that you were probably going to lose, and after you lost the first game, it felt like it was an uphill battle. But the Mariners showed that they've been resilient in those moments where they do lose the first game. I mean, they did it plenty of times during those 9 consecutive series wins where you lose the first game. Okay, now you got to go out and win the next 2, and that's what they did against the Red Sox in Boston. Marlins, like, expected TBH. You should have swept this team. This is not a good baseball team. It's expected that the Mariners won this series. I don't think that anyone will really disagree with that fully. Maybe you'd put it ahead of the Athletics where you went 2-2, where you tied the series instead of winning the series. I'm putting it below it. I think that the Mariners, that's not as good of a series played, I think, when you look at the Marlins. Yes, they stomped them in the second game, and Castillo looked great in that second game, but we all know that we probably should have swept that series. Now, I did make a mistake that I just realized in the middle of recording this, which is kind of hilarious. This Angel series is actually a 2-0 dusting. It's not a 2-1 series victory. It's a 2-0 dusting of the Angels, which I will put at the top of expected TBH because, let's be honest, winning both games against the Angels is an expected outcome, given how poor they had been playing. Yes, they got off to a hot start, but that team looked like they were in disarray by the time that the Mariners were able to play 2 games against them. So, an expected 2-0 dusting to the Angels. And then we get to the Texas series where the Mariners win the first game of that series 13-1. The Mariners stomped the Rangers in this series. Yes, they lost the final game 1-8, but coaching staff changes had to be made after this series by the Texas Rangers. Whether or not there were some, other factors, it felt like the Mariners kind of caused the final. They were the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. So this 2-1 Rangers victory in Arlington, I'm gonna put it. Man, I think I might put it ahead of the Red Sox series. Low key, it's a division rival. Like, yes, the Red Sox, Crochet, whatever, but that's a division rival where you have to win those series as often as you can. I think it's a good series win. It's not we're so back because the Mariners, they weren't in disarray. They weren't playing poorly. They were continuing to win series and showing that they can fight tooth and nail with any team that they're up against at that point. So I think top of good series win is where I'll put it for now. That leads us to the A's series where you're playing in Sacramento in Sutter Health, and it felt just like a nightmare type series. The type of series where you find yourself waking up with cold sweats thinking about playing in Kauffman, or Red Sox series of years past. This A's series was traumatic for a lot of reasons. You get walked off by Jacob Wilson in one of these, but you do connect on a pretty big series win over, at the time, second place Athletics, where they were kind of hot in your tail. You needed to kind of put them back in their place at the moment. So I think I'm going to slot it ahead of the Red Sox. AL West bias, they will always come first. They will take precedence over other divisions or interleague play, whatever. And now we get to where the series win streak ends. We all know that this Blue Jay series was Depover, but I might put it at the bottom of because getting swept by any team in baseball is never good, especially a team that at the time they below 500 playing in Seattle. You now no longer hold the tiebreaker over the Blue Jays. If you somehow end up in a tiebreaker with them, they have an advantage. The Mariners getting swept at home, I mean, that's at any moment. It's an moment. It's definitely not as bad as the Giants series because of what you lost as far as player personnel, but that Blue Jays series definitely hurt. And that leads you to this Yankees series where it really did feel like it was Depover, given how the pitching staff and the offense, they just didn't look competitive for the majority of those games. Yes, you won one of those games. It was a 2-1 victory. A game that you easily could have lost at any given point, but you didn't. You won that game. You did scratch off one. You managed to salvage that series, and you could argue that maybe 1-2 versus the Yankees, it's an expected result. But after losing 0-3 to the Blue Jays at home, and then cementing your 6-game homestand by going 1-2, going 1-5, that's definitely a Depover moment. But we're so freaking back, guys. We are so unbelievably back. It's crazy. That Padres series, thinking back on it, it was definitely better than the series that the Mariners played against the Rangers. I know I just mentioned AL West bias, but we're so back. The Vetter Cup is ours. We're so freaking back. The Mariners played amazing against the Padres, only allowing 1 run to them in each game. All the starters iced up. Evans had his best start. Emerson Hancock, yeah, it was only 4 2/3, but it looked good. Brian Wu, vintage Brian Wu, out-dueling Michael King. I hope to maybe add to this later. I think this would be fun to kind of keep a running tally and see where my thought process was at before. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. What has been the Mariners' best series that they've played so far in 2025, and which one's the worst? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with any of my takes? Let me know. And thank you for watching.